Hello, my name is Kristen. I'm an emergency nurse during this COVID pandemic. I've been asked to make a short video that kind of discusses what it's like working on the front line as a essential personnel, I guess. So I work in a busy hospital. We typically see, greater than 200 patients a day. It's a large teaching hospital. So I guess this all pretty much started around the end of February, beginning of March, but we were seeing it in bits and pieces. I was exposed very early on. I got sick. I was stuck in bed for probably about 18 days. Oxygen saturations were dropping. Fevers, were high. Just really feeling terrible, very tired, very weak. I came back to work around the beginning of April. And I don't think I was prepared for what it was going to be. I was still recovering from COVID, so this isn't like the flu where you just feel better and that's that. Especially when the lungs are involved, there's a significant recovery period, and it takes a while for you to gain back your endurance and ability to catch your breath. So I came back not 100% and pretty much just had to dive right in. A lot of my coworkers were sick, so there was a lot of overtime. It was needed. We were busy. Our patients were sick. Luckily, the hospital prepared, and we did have beds, so we were able to pretty much move all of our COVID patients. But it was when these people came in. Everybody tried to stay away from the hospital as long as possible, so they were coming in sick. They were really sick, and they were struggling to breathe, and their saturations were low. And we tried, we were trying everything to try to get it up. I mean, these people were on amounts of oxygen that I've never put people on before. We tried to avoid intubation as much as possible, but a lot of times, it just was unavoidable. And a lot of times, people's bodies couldn't take it all, and there were a significant amount of cardiac arrests and deaths with COVID. It's difficult when somebody literally comes in talking to you, and within an hour or so, or a lot of times even less, you're quoting them or you're pronouncing them. And, everybody says that, oh, you're safe as long as you're not immunocompromised, and that's not the case. I had it. I'm not immunocompromised. I was pretty sick. But we have had 33-year-olds who are healthy die. And we've had 98-year-olds walk out of the hospital after substantial treatment, but we've had 37-year-olds that were tubing, 50-something-year-olds who have coded. And it's also causing a lot of people to put their other health concerns on the back burner. So people with cardiac problems and chest pains and diabetes and things aren't following up like they normally would. So they're coming to the hospital when their problems are progressing, and on top of that, most of them come in with COVID as well. So it's just two pretty severe battles for your body to be fighting. It's at the point now where we have to assume that everybody that comes in has COVID. We can't, in the beginning we were getting PPE for only the people that were highly suspicious of COVID. We were only getting masks and stuff then, but now you have to wear a mask at all times, and you have to assume that every single patient is sick. And it's hard. I had to go up to the ICU because a friend of mine, a colleague, her family member, or a friend of hers family member, was up in the ICU, and they were actively dying, and the family wanted to say goodbye. And they couldn't get up here because the hospitals, haven't really been allowing visitors. So I brought my phone up to FaceTime people who I've never met, a patient I never saw, so that their family can say goodbye. And when I got up there, the ICU was like a war zone. There were pumps with extension tubing in the hall, lining the hallways, and doctors around patients' rooms, and having meetings and conferences and trying to figure out how to save these patients' lives. I mean, it literally looked like a war zone. You were dodging groups of people just to get down the hallway. It's like nothing I've seen before, and I've been doing this. I've been in healthcare. I've been in the ER for probably about 13 years as a nurse, for about 8 of them. And I've never seen the likes of these. Family members, you know, they can't come in, and their family members are being taken out of their house in severe respiratory distress, because that's what it's taking a lot of people to come to the hospital, is for it to be that bad. When you answer the phone, these family members, their voices are quivering, and I remember one call where I can hear, it's probably a young child, you know, maybe 11 or 10, and the mom had called to see how her husband was doing, and I wasn't the patient's nurse, but the nurse was busy, so I was trying to find out how they were doing. And I hear the mother talking and saying, "Hold on, the nurse is looking." And the little girl in the background, I heard her crying, "But Mommy, is Daddy okay? Is Daddy dead? Is Daddy okay?" He was, thankfully. But it's hard. You know, we feel for the families. We feel for our patients. We feel for our families. We feel for all of you. And I know everybody walks around and they call us heroes. And they, you know, speak to how strong we are and everything. And don't get me wrong, I know my nurses we are some strong people, but we also appreciate everything that everybody's doing by staying home and trying to limit the spread of this virus. You are heroes as well, because without your compliance, this would be a lot worse. And, you know, it could be out of control for us to handle. So we appreciate all of you. Stay safe and stay healthy.